Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
In the aftermath of a high-stakes custody battle, the dust does not so much settle as it hangs in the air, a fine, particulate mist of acrimony, betrayal, and shattered trust. For Michael Corinthos and Willow Tate, the war over their children, Amelia and Wiley, has concluded not with a clear victor, but with a landscape of emotional ruin. The courtroom, a modern-day coliseum where their most private pains were put on public display, has now fallen silent, but the echoes of accusations and revelations continue to reverberate, poisoning the space between them. This is the precarious aftermath, a painful new beginning, a baptism not of water, but of harsh truth. It is a period defined by the devastating revelation Michael holds, a truth that has the power to haunt Willow for the rest of her life, and by the fragile, encouraging words of those hoping for peace, which are so often drowned out by the angry threats of lingering resentment. The central, agonizing question that now looms over them is whether they can traverse this scorched earth to find a stable co-parenting partnership, or if the wounds they have inflicted are too deep to ever truly heal. The battlefield, dissecting the courtroom fallout. To understand the present chasm, one must first survey the battlefield. The custody hearing was not merely a legal proceeding, it was a brutal unveiling of secrets and a calculated demolition of character. The shockwaves began with Michael's sudden, unannounced return from Germany, a move that stripped Willow of any preparatory advantage and set a tone of confrontational surprise. But that was merely the opening salvo. The most seismic revelation was the truth of Sasha Gilmore's pregnancy. The court learned that the child Sasha carries is, in fact, Michael's. This paternity bombshell did more than just complicate the narrative, it fundamentally altered the emotional calculus of the case. For Willow, it painted Michael as a man who had not merely moved on, but had created a new family while legally entangled with her. In his mind, it was a consequence of their fractured relationship. In the harsh light of the courtroom, it could be framed as a betrayal that mirrored her own. This was compounded by Michael's own protective, almost possessive, outburst in court. In a moment of raw emotion, he revealed a side of himself that was less the calculated CEO and more the wounded, passionate son of Sonny Corinthos, a side that Willow once loved but now saw weaponized against her. Yet, the foundation of Michael's case, and the source of the most insidious damage, was built upon the deception of Drew Kane. As the spoilers hint, Michael's evidence likely exposed Drew's underhanded scheming, paying a nurse to lie, preventing Willow from visiting Michael in Germany, and most egregiously, manipulating young Wiley's fragile emotions regarding his father. This was not just legal strategy, it was psychological warfare waged against a child. The image of Drew toying with Wiley Corinthos' feelings about his father is perhaps the most unforgivable act in this entire sordid affair. It strikes at the very heart of parental alienation and reveals a breathtaking cruelty. For Willow, who entered into an alliance with Drew believing he was her champion, the eventual, full revelation of his methods will force a reckoning of catastrophic proportions. She trusted a man who was willing to break her son's heart to win a battle, and that is a truth she will have to live with. The devastating revelation, what Michael reveals. This brings us to the pivotal moment the spoilers allude to. Michael reveals something Willow will regret for the rest of her life. This is not a simple "I told you so." This revelation is likely the final, crushing piece of the puzzle that details Drew's betrayal, delivered by Michael not with triumphant glee, but with a devastating, cold finality. One can imagine the scene, a tense, post-hearing meeting, perhaps in the neutral territory of a lawyer's office or a fleeting, charged encounter outside the courtroom. The legal decision may be made, but the personal war is not over. Michael, his own hurt and anger barely contained, confronts Willow with the unvarnished, granular truth. He wouldn't just say Drew lied, he would present the evidence. He might reveal the signed statement from the paid-off nurse, detailing the financial transaction and the specific instructions Drew gave to isolate Michael. He might play a recording or present a bank statement that leaves no room for doubt. But the centerpiece of this revelation, the part that will sear itself into Willow's soul, would be the explicit details of how Drew manipulated Wiley. Michael would describe the specific conversations Drew had with their young son, the subtle suggestions that Daddy didn't want to see Mommy, the implied reasons why Daddy was staying away, the careful planting of seeds of doubt and abandonment in a child's mind. Michael would make Willow see, in stark, undeniable detail, the moment her trusted ally looked into her innocent son's eyes and deliberately twisted his perception of his father for strategic gain. This is the regret that will last a lifetime. It is not merely the regret of trusting the wrong man or losing a court case. It is the profound, gut-wrenching regret of a mother who, in her own vulnerability and desire to fight for her children, inadvertently allowed a wolf into the fold, a wolf who did not hesitate to use her child as a pawn. Every moment of confusion or sadness Wiley ever expressed about his father during that period will now be recontextualized in her mind, not as a natural reaction, but as a direct result of Drew's manipulation, which she enabled through her alliance. This is a regret that will echo in the quiet moments for years to come, a ghost at the table of every future co-parenting discussion. The chasm of resentment, obstacles to any reconciliation. In the wake of such a revelation, the path to any form of reconciliation, even a purely functional co-parenting relationship, is strewn with seemingly insurmountable obstacles. The double adultery, the foundation of their marriage, has been shattered from both sides. Willow's emotional and eventual physical affair with Drew is a betrayal Michael will not soon forget. Conversely, Michael's impregnation of Sasha, while they were estranged, stands in Willow's mind as a reciprocal act of infidelity. This creates a toxic stalemate of blame where neither party feels solely responsible, and both feel profoundly wronged. The angry threats here are not shouted, but internalized, the silent vows to never be vulnerable with the other person again. The new entanglements, Michael is not simply returning to the status quo. He is building a new life with Sasha and their unborn child, Daisy. Sasha, for all her own complexities, has stood by him, and their bond has been solidified in the crucible of this battle. Willow, meanwhile, must now extricate herself from the wreckage of her relationship with Drew, a process that will be humiliating and painful. These new partners, while sources of support, also represent the new loyalties and divisions that make a return to the old partnership impossible. Any attempt at co-parenting must now navigate the feelings and opinions of Sasha and presumably, ousted Drew, adding more volatile elements to an already unstable mix. The erosion of trust, beyond the adultery, the custody battle itself has destroyed any residual trust. Michael sees Willow as someone who aligned herself with a man capable of psychologically harming their son. He will be deeply wary of her judgment, questioning every decision she makes for the children, every new person she allows into their lives. Willow, in turn, sees Michael as someone who will use overwhelming force, the full power of the Corinthos family wealth and legal machinery, to crush her. She will fear that any misstep will lead to another devastating court battle. A flicker of hope, the case for co-parenting. Yet, amidst the chaos, there exists a fragile hope, and it is found in the encouraging words of their shared love for Amelia and Wiley. For all their failures as a couple, they remain united as parents who genuinely adore their children. This is the only foundation upon which a future can be built. The potential for a co-parenting compromise hinges on several precarious factors. Willow's break from Drew. The spoilers suggest that if Willow distances herself from Drew, a door may crack open. This is the first and most crucial step. For Michael to even consider softening his stance, he must see a clear and decisive repudiation of the man who harmed his son. Willow's regret must translate into action. She must publicly and privately sever that tie, proving that her children's well-being supersedes her loyalty to Drew. Michael's capacity for grace. While justifiably angry, Michael is, at his core, not a cruel man. The protective outburst in court revealed a heart that, while hardened, is not entirely closed. If he sees genuine, sustained remorse from Willow and a concerted effort to protect the children from further conflict, his resolve might weaken. The influence of his parents could also be a factor. Sonny and Carly, despite their own tumultuous history, have a vested interest in the stability of their grandchildren. They may become unexpected voices for peace, urging Michael to de-escalate for the sake of Wiley and Amelia. The establishment of arm's-length protocols. A successful co-parenting relationship in this scenario would not be one of friendship, but of a business partnership concerning their most valuable assets, their children. It would require meticulously scheduled exchanges, communication perhaps facilitated through a parenting app to avoid heated arguments, and a strict agreement to never speak ill of the other parent in front of the children. It would be a clinical, emotionally detached arrangement, but it would provide the stability the children desperately need. A baptism begins, but the future is unwritten. The baptism of truth has begun for Michael and Willow. It is a painful immersion into the cold reality of their choices and their consequences. Michael's revelation has handed Willow a burden of regret that will shape her for years, a constant reminder of the cost of her misplaced trust. The angry threats of past betrayals and current resentments form a formidable barrier. The path forward is not toward romantic reconciliation. That bridge is burned, its ashes scattered by the winds of deceit and new love. The only viable path is the difficult, pragmatic, and emotionally exhausting journey toward becoming effective co-parents. It is a path that requires Willow to fully confront the monster she allowed into their lives and requires Michael to find a reservoir of grace beneath his righteous anger. Enduring Saga of Port Charles. The encouraging words are whispered by the needs of their children. Whether they can hear them over the din of their own hurt is the drama that will unfold next. General Hospital spoilers reveal the dust is settling after the explosive guardianship hail for Emilia Corinthos and Wiley Corinthos, but the rift between Michael Corinthos and Willow Corinthos remains raw. Michael's return from Germany was shocking on its own, but the courtroom disclosure of his maternity of Sasha Gilmore Corbin's child has strengthened their peak. Willow may soon be reeling from Drew Quartermain's deception, paying a nanny to lie about Michael rejecting her Germany visit and toying with Wiley Corinthos' passions about his father's play in his life. Could a path to conciliation, indeed just ask co-parents, crop? Or will their injuries and new snares keep them piecemeal? Michael's resolve meets Willow's remorse. Michael's fierce determination to secure guardianship, fueled by Carly Spencer's support and Drew's Washington colluding, has him standing establishment against Willow. Yet, Sasha's maternity verity and his defensive outburst in court hint at a softer side, one Willow might still fate. Willow could come to feel remorse for cheating on Michael and letting another man mislead her. Michael's new bond with Sasha and Willow's hurt might block indeed co-parenting harmony. Will lament open a door, or are they too far gone, co-parenting or continued conflict? The guardianship battle, with Diane Miller and Rick Lansing battering, has exposed both Michael and Willow's vulnerabilities. However, conceivably after literacy of his low-blow play on Wiley's tender heart, she might seek a co-parenting concession to stabilize the kiddies' lives, if Willow distances herself from Drew. Michael, still, could repel, cautious of Willow's judgment after her alliance with Drew. Sonny Corinthos and Carly might push for peace, but Sasha's gestation complicates matters. Can they find common ground for their kiddies, or will resentment over a double cure of infidelity prevail? A fragile hope amid chaos. A flicker of stopgap for Michael and Willow lies in their participated love for their children, but the road to co-parenting is fraught with challenges. However, Michael might soften, especially if he sees her break from Drew, if Willow acknowledges her mistakes. Yet, his growing passions for Sasha and Daisy, as well as the courtroom's moping pressures, could keep them at odds. Are Michael and Willow going to be suitable to rebuild enough trust to co-parent effectively, or will their shattered history and new ties doom indeed this modest thing?